What is up, Ravens Nation? Welcome back to Flock Talk, your home for all things Baltimore Ravens news. Today we have a very packed video. We got a few topics here. We're going to be talking about the Ravens' first roster moves, cutting down to tomorrow's deadline. We got some updates on Mark Andrews and some interesting comments about the backup quarterback position. All that coming up in this episode, so let's just hop right into it. As you all know, tomorrow's the deadline to be at a 53-man roster, so a lot needs to happen. So they made their first 7 moves. They waived safety DeAndre Houston Carson. They just signed him a couple weeks ago when the secondary just got absolutely decimated with injuries. I think he was just more of a backup just in case. They're guys that they currently have were not going to be back, but it sounds like they're all going to be back and ready to roll, minus Marlon Humphrey, but he'll be back early on. They also cut defensive tackle Trey Botts, defensive tackle Kai Caesar, wide receiver Dante Demas Jr., offensive guard Jake Guyton, cornerback Corey Mayfield Jr., and linebacker Kelly Sanders. So that takes them down to 83. Still got to get down to that 53, 30 more roster moves by tomorrow. So a lot of action coming up tomorrow. Be sure to check out tomorrow's video. We're going to be covering all of that. Now, on to Mark Andrews. He's missed the last, I think it's 4 practices, and obviously Ravens Nation is a little worried about it. When a top 3 tight end in the NFL and what has been your number 1 receiving option for the recent past goes, slams his helmet in his last practice and then misses the next 4, it causes some concern among the fan base. I know it had me a little worried. We need Mark Andrews. Even though we have a revamped wide receiver room that I am as excited as anybody for with the new offense, Mark Andrews has got to be there and make his presence felt in this offense just like he has in years past. He's still a top 3 tight end, in my opinion, in the NFL, and he's going to be just as important this year as he was last year, as he was the year before. That does not change. So when you see him, you hear reports of him slamming his helmet on the ground, you start to worry, like, is he not happy? Is something wrong where he's not happy here? But John Harbaugh did talk about this, and he assured everybody that he is okay, and it sounds like it's just an injury is what I gathered from it. And he said he's going to be practicing next week because he wasn't out there today, and he's on track to play week 1 against Houston. So, sigh of relief for me and probably a lot of other Ravens fans. Our number 1 receiver for the last several years, or receiving option rather, not receiver, is going to be back week 1. No need to panic. He's going to be okay. John Harbaugh said Andrews is just dealing with something that we're kind of working through right now. I'm guessing just an injury. Hopefully nothing too major, but good news, he's expected to be back week 1. On to the Ravens backup quarterback battle. I'm not going to lie to you. After the first preseason game, I really felt like this was Tyler Huntley's to lose. He looked like by far the best, in my opinion. He looked the most comfortable in the offense. I thought he was very accurate. His timing was good. His decision making was good. Of course, he only played 2 drives though, so that doesn't give you a lot to look at, but I thought he looked really, really good, as well as the rest of the offense looked good around him when he was out there. Of course, he tweaked his hamstring a little bit and did not play any more that game and did not play the last 2 preseason games. So there's a lot that maybe we didn't see that could have evened it out, but I thought Josh Johnson got better with each game. I thought he, compared to game 1 to game 3 against Tampa, he looked a lot better. Not that he looked bad against Philadelphia, but he just looked more comfortable in the system, and I do like Josh Johnson. He's a guy that's been in the NFL for like 90 years, so he's a smart player, and he doesn't make bad decisions with the ball. He had 1 interception in the 3 games in the preseason, and I don't really put that on him. James Prochet did a good job getting open, and of course pressure in the face of Josh Johnson made him underthrow the ball, but it was still in James Prochet's hands. So even if he brought it down, it wouldn't have been a touchdown, but it would not have slipped through his hands and got into the defender's hands for the interception. So kind of a fluky play, but besides that, I thought Josh Johnson played really well. And Anthony Brown the reports I'm seeing doesn't sound like he's really in the running for that backup job. And, I like Anthony Brown, but like John Harbaugh said after the 3rd preseason game, he's a developmental guy. He's still got a lot of room to grow, but he did some good things. I really like his athleticism that he put on display, breaking out of sacks and making something out of nothing. Just his decision making isn't always the best. He's not always the most accurate. So if you're looking at only keeping 2 quarterbacks on the roster, which is what is being reported that the Ravens are potentially going to do, is maybe keep Huntley and waive Josh Johnson and hope he goes unclaimed so they can get him back on the practice squad. You know, Anthony Brown, I think, is that odd man out, and I'm sure he'll find a home as a backup on another team if that does happen. But for the Ravens, I think that it's got to be Huntley or Josh Johnson, and that's what, you know, leads me to where I'm at now, and I'm kind of surprised this is as much of a battle as it is. I really thought the Ravens were comfortable with Tyler Huntley the last couple of years. That's how it seemed, and of course they signed him to another 1-year deal earlier in this offseason, so I just thought that this was just his job to lose. But it sounds like it's really a battle for that second spot, and I can't help but think that it's because of a certain play in a wild card game in January that has really scarred, I think, a lot of Ravens Nation, that they were very close, or felt like they were very close to pulling off a massive upset in a wild card game against a team that not many, I think, non-Ravens fans believe they would be, you know, competing in. It felt like they were very, very close, and a big mistake at the goal line, as we all know, turns into a 98-yard fumble return for Sam Hubbard for the game-winning score. Now, that's not to say that if that didn't happen and the Ravens scored, that the Bengals wouldn't have gone down and scored. You know, there's a lot of hypotheticals here, but what happened, and I think it left a bad taste in a lot of fans' mouth. And apparently, it looks like also the front office and the coaching staffs, you know, are also not thrilled about it. And they inquired about Trey Lance, you know, before he got shipped to Dallas, which also surprised me because, no disrespect to anybody that I'm talking about here, but if Trey Lance can't beat out Sam Darnold to back up Brock Purdy, I don't think he's better than Tyler Huntley. Now, that doesn't mean his potential couldn't get there, but if you're talking about a guy that needs to step in and play because, God forbid, Lamar Jackson goes out, you need the best available option. And if, like I said, if he can't beat out Sam Darnold, which I don't really think is great, I'm not convinced he's better than Tyler Huntley. I would rather have Tyler Huntley out there than Trey Lance right now, even with what happened in January. But that's just me. But the Ravens have also, we know, gone out and inquired about other free agent quarterbacks in Baker Mayfield and Jacoby Brissett. So the available free agent quarterbacks left on the market, there's not really a lot of great ones. So I think they're going to stand pat. I still think Tyler Huntley is going to be 2. I would be still surprised if Josh Johnson stays on the roster, especially if Baltimore only keeps 2 quarterbacks. Like, I've seen some reports say that's not definitive, but if they were to, I don't think Tyler Huntley's getting cut at this point. I still think he's a decent backup in this league, and I think cutting him might be a mistake, but I trust the coaches know more than I do about what's best for the team. But I would still like to see Josh Johnson, even if he is waived, hopefully get back on the practice squad, because he's still a valuable player that brings a veteran presence. He seems very calm and like a very smart player, and that's what you would want if you get down to your 3rd string. God forbid that happens this year, but I still think they should stick with Tyler Huntley at 2, especially with the pool of free agent quarterbacks out there. Like, Carson Wentz is still out there, but I would still rather have Tyler Huntley trotting out need be than Carson Wentz. Maybe that's a foolish take, but that's just where I'm at right now. But I want to know what you think, Ravens Nation. Who would you rather have be the backup to Lamar Jackson? Would you rather have Tyler Huntley? Do you think Josh Johnson? Or do you think it should keep inquiring or looking to add another quarterback that's more proven in the backup role? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you all so much for taking time out of your day to watch this video. I greatly appreciate it. Help this video in the algorithm by liking it. Subscribe if you're new and help me grow this channel. Thank you all again. I will see you in the next one.